Tom, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm recording the call, so it's being recorded. Hey, Tom, thanks for being with us here today and sharing some of your knowledge on anti-aging. I really appreciate the time that you're giving us.
You're welcome.
You bet. Well, so many people they react to their health only when they get sick, and as you know, I mean, healthcare is just getting so expensive, and you and I both know that when you need it, you need it, and thank God for doctors and hospitals and medicine. But at the same time, I think that as we look at future health and how to stay healthy and kind of beat the whole idea that you have to wait until you get sick, we really need some of the things that you're working with at Sizzle, don't we?
Yeah, I think I don't think we do. I know we do, because the thing that's happening in this world is we're so highly contaminated with so many toxins, and foods now are so nutritionally deficient that we are not getting the nutrition we need for our body to function well, and we have toxins that are oxidizing or destroying our systems, and we have a big fight on our hands, and we're ill-equipped to do it. So with medicine, it's based upon the fact of treating symptoms, generally not finding a cure, because you find a cure, you lose a customer. That's how big pharma and medicine sees it, I believe, and many people do too. But the reality is that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's the old saying, and it's exactly that. And it's like Steve Jobs said when he was dying. He died of pancreatic cancer, and he said, if I had any more time to live, he was driving his business, became the most profitable business in the world. And he said, if I had any more time to live, I wouldn't spend it with business. I'd spend it with my family. And so there are certain things that happen in your life that you have a value system, and suddenly it trips on, and you realize just what's really important. So, and I've always had the saying, there's not a man lying in his deathbed that would like to live one more day so they could work in the office.
Right. I mean, some days, though, it probably feels like it to you, and I notice it too. Right?
Exactly.
We are in the office. But, I was just having that conversation with somebody about half an hour ago, and we had the exact conversation that, for me, if it wouldn't have been for my motorcycle accident, I probably would have been dead already, because I would have been working so hard the last 16 years of my life that it probably would have caused me to have some real serious health problems.
Yes, I understand that. And the important thing is, as old Chinese philosophy, and they say it's a poor doctor that practices cure. And traditionally in China, they have many powerful medicines. Many of those now they've analyzed, found they work, and they've made or trying to make a synthetic molecule that can mimic it, because it's so powerful for the human body. So the Chinese knew about it for a long time. So in China, when you went to the doctor, it's different than when you go now. Certainly if you were sick or had some affliction, you'd go to the doctor. But people went regularly to their doctor to keep themselves healthy. And he would analyze their body in great detail. And it had to be by observation and feeling, touch, pulse, things of that nature. But then the doctor would diagnose the different compounds that he needed to take to correct that situation before it happened in the body. You could see the body going a certain way, certain factors were off, and here's how you need to build it back. And so you paid your doctor to keep you healthy. And when you died, or not when you died, when you become ill, the doctor would not charge you any more for the treatment, because he would have considered to have failed. And so the treatments would not cost you anything until you become healthy again. And then you go back to paying your doctor to keep you healthy. Try to get a doctor to do that in this country. They don't even know anything about it. And they work on harmful synthetic prescription drugs that, they might do some things that might help, but the consequences and the damage they can do is just really significant. And
there's a doctor here in the Fargo area. He's just opening up a new clinic, and check this out. what he's going to do is he's going to charge a $50 a month fee for those people that sign up. You have to sign up for a certain length of time, and then he's going to limit the number of families that he'll actually accept. But it's $50 a month, and you get unlimited visits. Well, you know what he's going to do. He's going to be practicing preventative medicine. So in the beginning, yeah, he might see you a lot as he kind of gets your body to optimal health. But then after that, just like the Chinese, he's not going to have to see you as much, and that's where he'll start making his profit, because he'll have all these families of healthy people coming in for prevention.
Well, and wow, what a revolutionary thing that is! But it's only about 5,000 or 6,000 years old in philosophy. It just hasn't been practical here, and so to see somebody doing it shows there's an enlightenment. But there's none so blind as those who will not see, and that's where medical doctors generally are, and prescription drug companies definitely are, because they're in the business of making money from your illness and treating the symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just like one real quick analysis is blood pressure for forever. The ideal was 140 over 120. Now it's 120 over 80. And why did that happen just a few years ago? Did it drop that many points? The reason why it dropped, I believe, and many others do, is the fact that none of those people that were between under 140 and 120 were buying prescription drugs. So if they dropped it from 140 to 120, for example, they picked up a huge amount of market and profit, just because they're saying, oh, no, the new one is 120 over 80. And so they picked up millions or tens of millions of new potential customers that never would have bought a medication or gone to a doctor for a visit.
Yeah, now they're doing the same thing with statin drugs.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And, Tom, as we're talking, I know you got to run pretty quick, so I'm going to try and just zoom right to the topic that I think a lot of people are interested in. Using natural products, there's things that we can use that can support the systems for blood pressure, like we're talking about, and there's products that'll support, good cholesterol levels and healthy sugar levels and all those things. And I think a lot of people have interest in that, and I look at all the people that are doing Google searches on those types of things and the different search engines. But when I look at kind of what you're doing and the future of what I see the future of healthcare, it's really the field of anti-aging medicine and age reversal. And it's even it's the fastest growing branch of traditional medicine, because they want to grab into it. I mean, even Mayo Clinic has announced that they're getting into the anti-aging field as well. So as we kind of let's skip all of the things on treating illness, and we can't say that anyhow, but the things that we have, the natural products that support prevention disease, and we start looking at age reversal. I think a lot of it, like when I'm looking at it, we have 3 or 4 really good topics that we can talk about: repairing the DNA with the sirtuin genes, and supporting the stem cells, which are the repair cells. I always tell people they're like the Maytag repairmen in your body, and then really the telomeres, the science behind telomeres, the 2009 Nobel Prize science there, and then this new science called senolytics. But if you could kind of maybe give us a 10 or 15 minute idea, and I know that's cutting it really short, but on those topics maybe.
Yeah, well, that's really true. Hang on a second. Would you need something? Yeah, he's got to get down there. I'm going.
He just told me it's not that big of a deal. It was a brush fire.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, my apologies.
No problem.
The crisis I thought I was having isn't as big as what I thought it was, so I have a little more time.
Okay, good. Thank God.
So anyway, when you take a look at anyone, when you're a toddler, an adolescent, a child, and teenager, and all of that, your life time is one of growing, learning, and doing. But when you're thinking about how long you're going to live or longevity, it's just really not a factor. And up through maybe even mid-20s, people weren't thinking about it. But by the time they're 30, many people are, because they've seen their systems degrade over 30 years of use. And with that, where you're in a toxic environment, and just like with skincare products, you get 60% of all the toxins in your body come from skin and hair care products, personal care products you use. So that never used to exist, and cancer used to be rare. They just did a study on 10,000 mummies around the world, and they found only one died of cancer. That was the University of Manchester in England, and they said, so cancer is a man-made disease, essentially. And I believe that is true, too. It's like steel will rust with water on it, and it's the same thing with that same exact principle, only with different types of chemicals reacting is going on in your body. But your body does have the ability to repair, regenerate, and live to a great length of life if you can remove the toxins and provide the specific nutraceuticals or nutrients that it needs to function properly. Now, that sounds pretty wise, doesn't it? But I just didn't think of that. That was said 3,000-4,000 years ago and printed in the Yellow Emperor's book, which is 5,000 years ago. And so that philosophy is more true today than it even was then by far. So we have an opportunity here now for people that are, their eyes are opening. They see the wrinkles. They see hair loss. They see deterioration in skin. They see oral problems. Some, as they're getting older, goes into vision problems, and those things start to happen. But they don't just happen when they happen. They're because of a cumulative effect that has been going on in their body. So what happens is now you're to the point of going over the cliff, and they're trying to keep you on the edge so they can keep making money off you. But here's the reality. You want to march back in time. And so you approach that I think people could use to say, I want to tell you something very important about your health. And you can do this to a total stranger. I want to tell you something. The longer you live, the older you're going to get. Remember, well, of course, because you're aging. So you haven't had any choice. You're in a state of deterioration, and your last 10 or 15 years are going to be horrible. They're not the golden years. They're really the terrible years of your life. But it doesn't have to be there. Before you had no choice, now you do have a choice, because the biochemistry of the human body and of nutrition and related factors such as this, outside of the world of pharmaceutical medicine, which is parasiting off natural medicines to make new drugs that they can overcharge for. But now you have a choice. You can actually stop aging. You can end aging. And so what happens if you halt wherever you are at right now? Would you be happy, or would you sooner consider escalating on down towards debilitating health and a death that could be even with a lot of anguish? So now you have a choice. So what do? Well, the thing about it is you have all the biological factors in your body you did when you were a child. So how about if we could restore many of those to close to where they were? What do you think your body would do? Suddenly, if all the organs and everything and systems and that you have within your body, Shazam, was over immediately, was suddenly where you were when you were 15, 18, 20 years old, what do you think you'd be? Man, you would just, wow, I forgot what it was like. I've aged so much, and because it's a little bit of a time, but it's an accelerated time. The worse you get, the faster you age. So now what we can do is we can take your biology that has been deteriorated, just like you would repair a roof on your house or a leaky sink or anything like that. We have the nutrients to try and do that. But some of the things, and some of those are on a scale that are used in a myriad of ways, but the significant ones, which has never been done before, can end aging. And as I said, who wouldn't like that? But now what we can do is we can step backward in time and grow younger. Live longer, grow younger. Now that sounds like fantasy land, but ask Harvard Medical School, ask the Mayo Clinic if that's true, and they will say, oh no, there are products now, ingredients that could lead to, they say it could lead to immortality. I, of course, don't believe, I think they're hypothesizing, but they actually put you on the path to immortality, so that I believe you can pass that end of the road that you would fall off and be gone, and you can continue on down that super highway of life, fast, vibrant, young, healthy, younger anyway, because of now what we know we can do with what you have. And it all begins at the cellular level. So if you look at the things that you talked about, stem cells make us. It's like the chicken that lays the eggs. And so stem cells lays new cells out. Now, they're replacement cells for those that grow, that wear out, such as muscle, heart, eyes, everything, skin. Those are all being replaced, but that factory to make new cells is spewing them out at a tremendous rate. That means it needs to take in a lot of oxygen, a lot of nutrients to do it. But oxygen is for oxidizing fuels, glucose. It's like the gasoline of the cell, and so it explodes it. And then just like with a car engine where gasoline's exploded, you have toxins that go down and out the exhaust pipe. Well, you have toxins that are there in your body, and they're very harmful. And so the body has antioxidant systems and things to combat them, but over a time, all of those go down. And so the more they go down, the more damage that's done, and many of the toxins have trouble leaving the body because these stem cells start building up with cellular garbage. And then because of oxidation of glucose, it's like eating a sugary a donut or something like that. If you don't brush your teeth in the morning, you wake up with plaque. Well, it's the same thing, that by oxidizing glucose within the stem cells, it creates the plaque, and it coats a lot of the protein structures they're part of the organella, they call it, that makes the stem cell function. So they get gooey and gummy, and then the cytoplasm, where nutrients and everything goes through to get to the nucleus and to the different organs, becomes full of cellular sludge, garbage within you. So how do you get that to work if you got all that? And then you look at the energy molecule of the body, and this is what one of the universities calls the immortality molecule, is NAD plus, and it is so remarkably regenerating. But how can it work if your cell is gummed up with glycation, plaque, and if it's plugged up with lipofuscin, cellular garbage? Doesn't make sense. So we've addressed both of those two issues in supporting. The body has the natural systems to do it. They just get plugged up and wear out. And so if you provide the proper nutrients, its natural systems can use those. But they have to be spectacular ones, and there are new discoveries that can do those things and overcome it. And so with that, if you know what they are, which we now do to a very large degree, you can take in those nutrients, and your biological systems that are floundering can take them in because they're flooded with the energy and the life-giving forces that it allows those systems to create, but they have to have the right nutrients to do it. And the damage that's been done is like getting a scratch or a cut. Your body rushes to repair it, but as you get older, it takes longer for it to heal. You see, and that's all deterioration. So if you consider back on that, suddenly what we do and what we're attempting to do, and this is all hypothesized, but based on real science and ingredients that we believe can do this. You have to say that because in order to make a definitive claim, it takes about 15 years and a couple of $1 billion to get an FDA approval. But you can say it supports it. And the science is there, and universities and pharmaceuticals have all proven it, many other places. So we are taking their discoveries, the discoveries they're trying to turn into a synthetic that's highly profitable. We're taking the natural ingredients, we're concentrating them, and we have a system with the age pill that goes in and assists the body with this massive support to remove the plaque, the glycation, to drain the swamp, the the cellular garbage, the lipofusion, and then when that's clean and able to function, even though it's limping along because a lifetime of use, that stem cell you were born with might be 50, 60, 70 years old, 40 years old, whatever it is. That's a lot of work. But now it can go in and allow the body to take it and its own processes to repair, regenerate, and bring back closer to when you were younger again. So that alone is a major thing. However, you talked about senolytics, and senolytics is a new science. Now, so is ending aging and supporting regenerating youth, growing younger. That's just revolutionary. Most people haven't even heard of it. Here, they haven't heard of it, and we're in it with both feet, and we've got the most dynamic products that people are seeing spectacular results with. So, but anyway, senolytics is this. As your stem cells wear out, they become dormant. And once they become dormant, that means that they just can't be, they don't die. They're just dormant. Now, actually, the body is trying to get rid of them. The immune system is, but by the time you've got a lot of stem cells that have gone senescent, let's say you're 40 years old. Well, about at 40 years old, you've got about 50% of your stem cells that are no longer functioning. That's just an estimate. But at that means 50% are working, and they're not working as well as they did when you were 20, and 50% are not working. And that ratio continues to increase to where when you get in your 60s, you're down to 5 or 10% activity, and 95% we estimate in dormancy, or they're senescent. So now you don't have many stem cells, and the ones that are there that are functioning are not functioning well. So now we have a chance to spin it on its head and turn it around, because our God-given biology can be fed with super nutrients, super nutraceuticals, they call them, natural medicines that allow to support the body's biological functions. It's just like it's so simple. If you think of scurvy, and that used to be the plague of a lot of, especially sailors. And so if you take vitamin C, you end scurvy. It's that quick. What happens? Does it cure scurvy? No, it provides what the systems need to correct itself, and scurvy goes away. So you think about that. That's an important thing. But now we get into senolytics. What are you going to do with all of these stem cells that are dormant? Do you really care? Well, you probably don't. And go, well, okay, I'll try and get the others to go the best we can. Well, yeah, let's work with what we got. But what you have there, and this is a new science that's come out, and it's just stunning in what's there. I found the answer to it about 20, 25 years ago, but it was only with certain types of cells. But since then, it's expanded out so much. There's so much more knowledge that I can provide that super nutraceutical or blend of nutraceuticals that can support the system to address the senescent stem cells. Now, stem cells that are functioning but are in a degree of decay, it's called senescence. When they become dormant, they become senescent. And at that time, they put out all kinds of toxins. And the bad thing about a senescent stem cell, the toxins, the oxidative stress molecules they put out are the worst kinds. They're the kinds that cause the majority of the severe health problems, deterioration, and many of the afflictions that you have. And it's kind of odd, because here's stem cells that are giving you the life and the person you are, but suddenly they become dormant, and now they're sending out these toxins that are damaging other stem cells and damaging biological functions and accelerating your age and greatly increasing your risk of many diseases, which you're all going to die of a disease. Nobody dies of old age, because your DNA is programmed to go on to about 125 to 150 years with it. But now you have these stem cells, senescent, exuding these toxins, and they believe it's due to draw the immune system to it. And if the immune system can identify it, then they can trigger a mechanism called apoptosis, which means it's like cellular suicide. The cell destroys itself and dies. And so that's going on all the time. But as you're getting older, the older you get, the more unresponsive your immune system is getting, because it's aging, and now it has trouble identifying the dormant stem cell, even cancer cells, where the immune system would readily attack them when you're younger. And we've all got cancer cells in our bodies, and the immune system takes care of it. But it becomes dumbed down because it's aged. It's not working. It misidentifies. It lets a lot go by. And so, but what is there is still removing senescent stem cells throughout all your life to a varying degree. But if you remove a senescent stem cell, let's say it, not if you do, if your body does, guess what happens? If the immune system comes along and devours it and it dies, then it's in a bud, and a new stem cell, scientists are theorizing, speculating, and observing, a new stem cell pops out. So did you understand the implication of that? You have a dormant stem cell that's not producing anything but putting toxins that are causing severe health problems and issues, and suddenly it's like born again. The old is gone, the toxins stop, and here is a new stem cell in its place that's through natural processes, and it starts functioning closely to a new cell, a new stem cell. So they're producing out. So you take something that's so damaging, so dangerous, and you turn it into something that's so health-building and regenerating. And to be able to do that, now they found some ingredients, and one of the major universities, research in the world, just come out and said, we found the immortality pill. This is the key to immortality. Well, so did another big one. Said they, with the other compound for NAD, that they call it the immortality pill if they can get it perfected. And right now they're working on a drug. But we know what the natural things are. We know what the science is of what they found. So we've done it for ending aging and for supporting you to grow younger. But now we look at senolytics, which is all the damage that has been done. Now there are compounds that can go into it and support the immune system, support the senescent stem cells, so they're more, we believe, this is a theory, of course, we believe are much more receptive to those natural biological factors which cause them to die and disintegrate that's taking place. But with great nutrition, it can be accelerated. That's sort of the theory behind this. So as it does, then you start repopulating the dormant cells with young, fresh ones, and the ones that are still functioning somewhat, you have the whole system to support regenerating, repairing them. The system is there. You just need the nutrients to do it. You can't drive a car without gas, can you? Or oil in your crankcase. And it's the same thing with your body. Now here you have all of these things, and they can now be provided in very large amounts to flood the systems with these super nutrients. So in my opinion, it's almost impossible for it not to work. I mean, you get so far, you could be, if you're 90, 95 years old, I don't know how much more could be done, but they took old animals and they've made them look, appear, and seem to be young again. And even where they weren't reproducing, they started to reproduce and have young animals again. So that says a lot, doesn't it? And with that, of course, those are mammal studies, but these processes are the same in mammals. It's just that we're more evolved ones with that. But the theory, the chemistry, all of those things work in the animal tests they've done, and now they say, geez, this is like a hand-in-glove fit for the human body or for animals or things like that. And so that's where we're at with it. So senolytics is almost like the Lazarus treatment. You're resurrecting the dead. And in theory, that's one way of thinking about it, because suddenly all the dormant toxic stem cells that are there can gradually be removed by the body's own natural systems if you have the right senolytic support super nutrients, nutraceuticals to provide to it. So who has that? Well, nobody, but we're coming right down that road right now, and you're going to see our product come out to support the body's phenylistic system so that you can really do something, your body can really do something about that because we're providing the factors that the Chinese said 6,000, 5,000 years ago. The body has the ability to repair, rebuild, and regenerate if you provide the proper nutrients and remove the toxins and the waste. Well, whammo. That's exactly what we got, and that's the way it works. So if you take those two of addressing stem cells that are active but are in senescence, and you can support restoring them closer to where they were when you were younger, and if you can take the ones that have all fallen off, and if you can start to support the removal of those, and the body will natural processes start to repopulate them with stem cells, what do you have? You've got, and each system is called by the researchers that have found it the immortality, the solution to immortality. Well, it's not. We're not going to live forever. But you know what? It'd be pretty nice to be 150 years old with the biology of a 40 or 50 or even a 60-year-old, wouldn't it? And
sure.
That's potential. And so people are saying right now they're having RadFest going on here pretty quick, which has to do with it. And there are speakers that are coming to that are the renowned experts in the world, and they're saying the people born today should be living to be 300 or 400 years because of all the things we've found and how they're being advanced. Well, I probably won't make it to 300 or 400 years, but I'd be pretty darn happy at 200 or 250, and I can do that. And the Chinese actually had two people in fairly modern history that lived to be about 250 years. And so if the biological response is that you're programmed to live about 125 to 150 years, how did they double that? Well, here comes in the third factor, and that's the one you're talking about, Doc, about telomeres. So telomeres are just like they are like a time clock, and every time it ticks, a second goes. And so if it's running fine, then the clock keeps moving. But over time, what happens with stem cells is they call them the igniters of stem cell activity. In other words, they are the regulators, scientists theorize, of telling the stem cell when it can duplicate. And telomeres, you got a lot of them. You got 10,000 when you're born, and when you die, you're down to about 5,000 or 6,000. That's a lot of years, but you lose 8 to 10% of them every year. And so what that means is the duplication rate between when a stem cell produces a cell and when you're at a certain age, that time frame, then it comes and after a certain time it'll reproduce another. But as you get older, that time between reproduction of new stem cells becomes slower and slower. So your body mass starts to go down because of that. And then when you run out of stem cells, you're so depleted in your system that the disease will kick in that kills you. So herein we have a product out, TSX, which is massive support for telomeres, for in our attempt where we theoretically hypothesize and think we can validate it to a large degree by how you feel and what science says, but our formula hasn't been proven to do that. The ingredients have been shown to do remarkable things, but if you can start adding telomere units, and telomere units are only found in stem cells, so if it's like a seed, think of it like a seed in a sunflower, and you take a seed out and you throw it, and a new cell or a new sunflower develops. Well, after a while, your seeds, you're getting a lot of holes and spaces, and you don't have the potential to reproduce as much, and that's sort of a crude way of telling you how this is working. So, but the body has the ability to go in and to regenerate new telomere units. It's doing it all the time. What you need to do is take it from the slow boat to China and put it in warp drive, and that's what telomere support we theorize can happen. Scientists says it can with certain compounds. We have our own formulation, which has not been tested to do it, but I'll tell you what, the research on the ingredients is pretty spectacular to support the body. And so as a result, add telomere support, TSX, in on top of it, and what do? Now the stem cells that are slowing down until you stop, and that means death, or you have giant degrades in your health and that, now they start going the other way, tick, 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 building back up. And as a result, you don't run out of road. In theory, it can go on, and your cells speeding down that road can be young and energetic and vibrant, vivacious in its response with the other systems that we have in place with senolytics, and then with the NAD for ending aging and for regenerating youthful growth. So that's the combination. I'm sorry I took a long time on this thing, Doc, but that's really in a nutshell what you should do. And then you throw a few other things on, like the Triangle of Life and Brain Vitality. Man, you've got a lot going for you, because those are nutrients that are specifically designed to support biological functions that are going on too, and it picks up a lot of areas that might be greatly deficient, especially the brain, and then here it provides what it needs, what it can take, what it can use in theory to create new tissues, to repair damaged tissues, to increase stem cells. Now, all of those things are theoretical, but in science, they found it for ingredients, but nothing's made it to the market really yet. And it'll take a huge amount of money and all that. But with us, we take that science, we put a mulligan stew of ingredients in some of these formulas, because we try and address everything with spectacular super nutrient nutraceuticals, natural medicines, with immense power and highly concentrated, because we want to throw everything at it we can to get your systems and cells supported nutritionally so they can function at their most optimal potential. That's the safest way. It's a hard thing to say because the FDA is so aggressive on it, and but yet here's the science, and it's what we're talking about. Science here, in my opinion, is we're talking about science that might make it to the marketplace in 15, 20 years from now, and it's here right now. And we can't say what a prescription drug is, and we can't say it absolutely does, but we can say it supports it and the results. And you look at the literature, and if it gives you the belief, that's where DSHEA, the Dietary Supplemental Health Education Act, comes in. And so you take that, and it allows you to look at the studies, then you educate yourself, and you make your own conclusion. So that's given us a big opportunity to go ahead, and we're going down that path really hard. But we're doing what no other company has done. I've dedicated my life to this and my fortune. I'm never going to retire. Why should I? My goal is to live to be 250 or 300 years old if I can do it. I'm working on that every single day. But with that, what do I do with my life? Golf, go on cruise ships? No, I want to do everything I can to help you to make your life much happier, healthier, and much more prosperous or wealthier. So anyway, sorry, Doc, I went on a lot.
Oh, no, that's exactly what we needed to hear. I mean, the big thing is that when we're talking to people, when I'm going out and I'm sharing this information, just like you just said, and I'm sharing it with people, the first thing they always say is, oh, who wants to get old if we have to suffer? And I say, well, that's the whole idea, is that if you start early, and it's just like your car, you don't wait for the oil light to come on before you change the oil. You know, your dad taught you, change the oil, change it every couple thousand miles to make it so that car will run longer. Change the tires before they explode on the highway so you don't get into that accident. And your body's the same way. If you can take and do these things like you just said, it makes sense, because now you're doing the maintenance before the disease comes in. You're doing the maintenance before the explosion happens inside your body. And it just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does. And actually what you're saying is really spot on. So here's a thought. Go up to a person. Don't do it to a teenager or perhaps a millennial, but someone older than that. Go up to them and say, how much older would you like to get? Well, what's the person going to say? Well, no older. Okay, there hasn't been an answer, has there? But now we think we have one that can support your body to do it. It has all the systems in it that were running when you're younger. It just needs super nutrients to help it to repair, regenerate, and in theory, you can grow younger, live longer at a very, and live much, much longer at a very young age, and revive many of the systems that are just wanting for the types of nutrients that normally they get and produce when they're younger, but now you bring them in because things have deteriorated in a supercharged formulation. And I mean, it's like giving water to a person that's dying of thirst. I mean, it's going to be taken up so readily, and that's what we're offering with this. So how much older do you want to get? No older? Okay. How about we can do that. That's like we believe in theory. We can support your body to do that. It's like falling off a log. But now how about to greatly extend your lifespan and to grow much younger? That's the other potential that we're offering with these super nutrients that feed your body systems to do just that.
That's right. And, and then that the whole thing, like you were saying earlier, too, I keep referring back to you because you're kind of our iconic figure in this. But, people say, well, what about the cost of keeping all these old people alive? And like you said, all of a sudden they're feeling healthy and they want to contribute and they want to give back and they stay in the workforce. I mean, heck, if I'm healthy at the age of 110, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep sharing that information. And what's beautiful about it is that all of a sudden now the elders of the community, the elders of the population can be the consultants. They can be the ones that are saying, hey, don't do that. I tried that 80 years ago. It didn't work. And that's the thing. All of a sudden now they're productive members of society as well.
Well, that's right. So the choice is yours. Become a couch potato and expect the rest of your life to be horrible, miserable, and you'll be fighting some diseases, or get off that couch, take some of these supplements, put it to work, have a positive attitude, and become active in life instead of sitting around waiting for the inevitable happen, which only gets worse with time. Now you have a way to support it, so the potential of getting better with time is very great, in our opinion. And now you have a choice. So how much older do you want to get? How much younger would you like it? Would you like to end aging? Well, all of those things are real questions now that were foolish to ask before, but now in reality, they're well worth asking because there's lots of answers to that. Well, enough. And we're here with it, and the rest of the world is dealing with other types of nutrition and other things like that on very low level. This is the most highly advanced technology in the world, and planet Earth. And to my opinion, only Sizzle is really doing it, especially the way it should be done, and as comprehensively as we've done it.
That's right. I share that with people all the time, and I say, I always got to end it. In my opinion, these are the most powerful products because, of course, I haven't tested anybody else's products, and so therefore I can't back up the statement, but I can sure show you the ingredients, and like you said, here's the science to back up the ingredients. And in our formulations, we have more of that ingredient. So, of course, it's going to make it more powerful.
Of course. And if you think about that, people are going to be there and they say, well, I've eaten healthy all of my life. I've exercised and things like that. And now I'm dying at middle age. And that's what it's going to be, because 70, 80 years old is middle age from what our potential is. But how about taking that to support it where you can reach your potential? And how about when you've reached your potential, can we go beyond that barrier? Can we repave the road ahead of it with telomeres and these other things working? You bet your biffy, we believe you can, and you can get yourself going on that track. If not, you're going over the cliff in a handbasket but let's get back and get racing and going and living life and doing it. Life is for living, and so here we have a chance for you to do something significant to support your body in its fight against this and in its fight to do these things that you want to have done. And the answers can be potentially as close as a bottle on your bathroom counter.
That's right. Well, Tom, I know you got to get running, and I'm going to share a little bit more information on the call when we share this, and just talk about how so many people have noticed life-changing. They've noticed life-changing experience when they start to do this, and it's really, facts tell and stories sell, and that's really where it is you get people to tell their stories on how they feel so much younger, rather than going to the people who are following the traditional route where they're getting to 80 and they can barely walk. You look at the people who are doing the things that we're talking about, and they get to 100 and they're still active. They're still participating in life.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when you look at you're going into a doctor and you're 70 or 80 and you have a condition, the doctor will do some examination, and there's some taking blood tests, things of that nature, but they're low tech in comparison to the biology that's high tech within your cells. So that you go to the doctor and he says, okay, well, here's what we think. So I'm going to give you this. Try it for a month and then come back. And if it's not working, we'll try you on something else. Do you like that, practicing the art of medicine? Or do you want to using the science of biochemistry to support your body with massive support to go on and do what's been unthinkable but now is happening in animal studies? And you can make the decision on whether you think it will happen to you. And in this case, it's the saying is, as you've heard the saying, the proof is in the pudding, which is incorrect. The saying is the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and that's the difference between our products, our system, and others that are out there. So why have them practice the art of medicine on you when you can support your body with a great potential of regeneration, of ending aging, of growing younger, living longer, having your faculties coming back, maintained, improved, energy levels going up? That's the promise that we hope we've designed in this product. But the nice thing about it is, Doc, they're self-evident within a reasonable period of time. So pretty soon you don't need to tell a doctor that you're looking better. And I'll give you one quick, I know I've run out of time. I'll just give you one little quick example. Somebody called me in and they said, we started on these products and they were in pretty bad health. And our bodies we're just responding. We feel so good, so healthy. And the doctor's been treating us. And so we went to the doctor and he was surprised at how healthy we were, how much we had improved. And we told him that it's because of these products we're using. He wanted to see them. He looked at them. And remember, doctors know almost nothing about nutrition. They have no education in it, maybe one class or two. But they don't really understand advanced nutrition, especially into biochemistry. So the doctor says, no, I don't want you to use any of those, because it can interfere with what we're doing. And so the people went off it, and they said, this is where they contacted me, and they said, the doctor's taking us off it, and now we feel terrible again, like we did before. What can we do? And I said, I can't practice medicine without a license, but this is what I'd do if it's me. I would go in and say, I appreciate your products and things we're using, and while I use them, I added these things to my these supplements to take, and I felt really great in combination with what you're doing. But now you told me to go off, and now I feel really terrible again, and those conditions are coming back. So what I would like you to tell me is why I cannot take these, what it is in them that will conflict with the medication you're giving me, because they seem to have been working with it really well, And unless you do that, this is what I would say, I'm going to go back to being healthy and using these again. Yeah, I want to use your medication, but unless you can show me a reason why not, I want to go back to being healthy and feeling good again. So they did. They went and talked to the doctor and about that and asked him, what is it here? Here's the products. You've seen them. What's in it? And he said, well, I can't see anything, so you go ahead and use them. But see, what is he doing there? He's covering his practice because they get paid on treating symptoms with that.
That's right.
But that's quite a story, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. And I, as a doctor, I hear that all the time from patients. They're like, well, my doctor told me that, it'll be okay to take that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, your doctor probably doesn't even know what it is. And then there's the other cases where the doctor says, oh, no, don't take that. And again, it's because he doesn't know what it is. So he's just, he's covering his tracks in both cases.
That's exactly right. But you're the victim or the benefactor, depending on what you do and he does. So use your own mind. If he can't show you why not, by gad, in my opinion, what I'd do, I'd be using them all, because what he's doing is just trying to mitigate what's happening negatively, deteriorating in you. And here you have a chance to have supporting restoration, regeneration, ending these things. So it's a big choice now that medicine has not really the comprehension of, but science does, and we're bringing the science to you. So that's why we say, trust the science, trust Sizzle. We know what we're doing.
Tom, to sum things up, because I know literally you got to go put out another fire, but, just kind of sum things up. When I'm talking to people strictly about anti-aging and age reversal, I talk about, using resveratrol, which we have in the Eternity product, and it supports the sirtuin genes, which have been proven to repair damaged DNA. And if you can repair the damaged DNA, your chances of getting some of those old age diseases go down. And then we have the TSX, which supports the telomeres. And like you said, the telomeres are the fuel and the messenger for the stem cells. And then we have the stem cells that support itself with the age pill. And stem cells are really the repair guys. They're the guys that cause the damaged cells in your body to be replaced by new, young, baby, healthy cells. And then now all of a sudden we're adding the new science of senolytics, which means get rid of those old, dead, dying cells that were supposed to be removed out of the body. But now what we're going to do is we're going to support that part of the system to tell the body, get out of here. And by doing that, right now, those are the 4 cutting-edge pieces of age reversal, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're spot on. And remember, this is just a thought. At one time, you were but a single stem cell. At conception, there was only one cell, and it was you. And everything within that cell, it was a stem cell. And it produced all of the new stem cells. You got about 220 types within your body doing about maybe 400 different functions. That's just some estimates. But anyway, now you are what you are, all because of that one stem cell that had that enormous power. My God, talk about reproduction power. From conception to when you're born, you've gone from one stem cell to as many as 10 billion stem cells in 9 months, because that's the way you're programmed. And then you sort of maintain and grow till you get to be about 50,000 trillion cells, all supported by stem cells, which have to support the replacement, repair of themselves and replacement of the other cells, and they're wearing out. So let's go back. Let's overhaul it. Let's make it, give it the potential it can overhaul itself and do those kinds of things. And that's the promise, because after all, at one time, the only part of you was the stem, and the God-given spirit that's within you, of course. But at one time, you were only a single stem cell, and now you're the product of all that which it could do. And now we want to return you as close as we can to where you were when you were at your peak.
That's right. Well, Tom, thanks for spending some of your time with us today and sharing some of the science. I know people they always look forward to hearing you and hearing your voice on these calls and being able to hear it right directly from, I guess from the horse's mouth, right?
Yeah, or some other part of the horse. And that's people that, but I'm happy to help, and my whole life is dedicated to doing that. This is not a financial venture for me. This is a venture in doing all of the good God-given things that He has given me the ability to work with, and that you to work with, and your bodies. And it is truly, it's a quest with me, and one which I'm readily able to do and very happy to do, and want it to never end. And think about that for you. When do you want to end? How about if we move the goalposts? Would that be nice? Take them from that 78 or 80 years old and move it down there to 100, 150, 200. See, those are thoughts that are practical, but now are very possible.
You bet. And another iconic figure in the age reversing world, Aubrey de Grey, he says that the first person to live, over the age of 250 was probably already born. And here's a guy that understands the science just like you do, and just amazing things that we can find out on this.
Well, he's much more brilliant than I am. I know Aubrey, and he is the world's authority. But you'll find the things that I'm saying, I believe, are in harmony with what he says, and with what science has found. And in some things, actually, I found things that Aubrey hasn't been looking into that break other barriers, and somewhat she knows about. But this is my mission and my goal, to do this. And so things are happening so fast. We have so much to work with, and we have evolving formulations with that, because as we find more new things, we want to use them if they're better. And that's what we're doing.
That's right. All right, Tom. Well, you have a great afternoon. Thanks for coming and being part of this with me, and I'll share it with the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye now.